that blaster's on full.
What's up, guys? So today we're going to check out the DC Comics Multiverse Superman figure from the Dark Knight Returns 30th Anniversary Edition. And even though I really wasn't that big a fan of the Batman figure, I'm just a sucker and could not resist getting the Frank Miller version of the Superman as well. So here we are, and as always we will start off by checking out the packaging. And again, Mattel chose a really interesting angular type of packaging for this line. You got the big window up front with the figure and the odd accessory. Below that, you've got a picture from the comic of Superman. To the right of that, you've got the information on the line itself. And on the angular top here, you got the DC Comics logo. You got the little Batman Dark Knight Returns logo right there. And on the side of the box, you've got a close-up of the same picture they used in the front from the comics for Superman. And on this side, it's just the logos. On the back, you've got a big picture of the Superman figure and smaller pictures of the three figures in the line. On the bottom, you got the UPC. So now crack open the box and check out the accessory you get. And you get the green arrow kryptonite arrow that they shot at Superman in the comic. You got the yellow for the fletching, the green on the tip for the kryptonite. And you can see it's definitely a little warped coming out of the box. It's also super flexible. It's a really soft plastic, and you can just bend the hell out of it. And now we'll check out the sculpt and paint on the figure itself. And overall, the sculpt and paint are actually not bad at all. I kind of enjoy it. Pretty much the same exact body parts as the Batman figure, just with a different coat of paint and different boots, cape, that type of thing. You can see the blue on it is actually a nice dark blue. It's got a little bit of a black wash on it. And I do like that since it really adds some nice depth and shading to what would otherwise be a flat blue costume. So I think that looks really good, actually. But of course, it is not free from issues. You can see there's some molding issues here on the thigh. It's really not that bad, and there's not that many on it, so I can't complain too bad about that. The cape also looks pretty good. It is a nice pliable rubber. You can see it's just a big attachment there that goes into the back. But otherwise, I do like the sculpted details on it. It's not nearly as sculpted as the Batman cape, but I do think it looks pretty good. And it's a nice, soft, pliable material. It's got that nice curl on the ends there. There are also some issues here. There's some white paint on it, a little bit of darkness here. I don't know if that's blue paint or not. And you got some flesh paint on the top here. You can also see there's a big glob of paint there on his neck. I think that's paint. Could be a molding issue as well. The hair is sculpted really well. It's a nice soft material too, but it captures that kind of Frank Miller curl. The face sculpt is a little off, though. The cheeks look really sunken for some reason, so I'm not sure if he's got some type of disease. And the one side is way bigger than the other, so it could be the mumps. The eyes look pretty good. There's really no issues with that. He's got a little bit of an issue here on his eyebrow. I don't know if he's going for one of those shaved eyebrow looks or not, but it is definitely off. Neck looks pretty good, but again, there is another glob of either plastic or paint on there. But the sculpting on it is not too bad. The cape just looks like it kind of gets cut off at the top there. You can see it just kind of looks a little weird, doesn't really sit right. And you can see where the blue meets the flesh tone. It's a little fuzzy. It's also a little off on the one side, so that's definitely a little bit of an issue. It's not terrible, but it's definitely noticeable. Well, I like the yellow color they chose for the belt. It really is not applied well. You can see it's kind of going over the lines. The loops are all weird and warped. There's a little spot missing there on the side. Same thing on the back here. It's just really not crisply done at all. Other than that, it's not terrible. I do like the colors. And he's rocking the same trunks as Batman, although they're just a different color for Superman. The boots are okay. There's really not a whole lot to them. I do like how they have that kind of overhang up top, which gives a nice depth to it. But other than that, they're very plain. There's a nice little ridge at the top, but there's no wrinkles at the ankle like Batman had. There's also no treads on the bottom. He does have a little bit of a sole. And just like the Batman figure, the peg holes are much closer to the toes than they are to the heels. So now check out the articulation on the figure, and just like the Batman figure, it pretty much sucks. And again, Mattel chose to go with the bobblehead head articulation, which is to say none at all. You can get a little bit of movement out of it. You can get him to look up about that far and down that far. And he will stay if you're gentle with it, but it really is just super loose, and there's really just no articulation. It's a loose peg. You can get a slight pivot out of it. You can also rotate it completely around, which is really the only true articulation it has. The shoulders go up about straight. That's about as far out as you're getting them, though. And he does have full rotation at the shoulder. He's also got a bicep cut, so you can rotate that pretty much around, but just hold the shoulder because it will come with it. And the elbows suck. They're single jointed, and you're lucky if you're getting 75 degrees of a bend out of them. Wrists also suck. You can rotate, and there is zero hinge to him whatsoever. He's also got stupid hand positions. I don't know why he has gripping hands. He can't grip anything. Should have a fist and a straight hand like he has in the comics a lot. Diaphragm, you can get a decent bend back, but not that great. At least the cape doesn't hinder it like Batman. You can get a decent bend forward, though, and he does swivel completely around at the wrist, although you have that big red platform there. The hips are also not that great, but you can get a pretty good split out of them. You can see you can get them almost all the way out. He also has a really limited kick forward. Without forcing it, you're getting maybe 35 degrees. If you really force it, you can almost get 70 or so, but that's about all you're going to get. Fortunately, the trunks are a little bit of a more soft plastic, so you can kind of force it up there, but that's all you're getting. Kickback isn't too bad. You can get maybe 15, 20 degrees or so. You can get a little bit farther, but it kind of crushes in his concave butt there. You do have a pretty good rotation at the top of the hip joint there. You can get it almost all the way back and about 90 degrees in, so that's not too bad, actually. The knees are single jointed, and you can at least get 90-degree bend out of those, so it's not terrible. The ankles have a decent hinge on them. You can get the foot down about that far and way up there, which looks just really painful. But there is no rotation at the ankle. He does have a boot cut, though, so you can spin him that way. And of course, he has no ankle pivot, so be prepared for some really goofy-looking feet while you're posing this thing. So now I'll check out the size and scale of the figure, and he stands almost exactly 6 3/4 inches tall. And here he is next to the Batman from the same line, and he really stands at the same height, but you can see his neck and head make him a little bit taller than Batman. And here he is next to the DC Arrow figure, which is a 6 3/4 inch scale figure, and you can see they're pretty much at the same height. So overall, I'm really not a big fan of this figure. It's definitely not worth $20, maybe $15. The paint app on it isn't too bad. I do like the blue in the costume. Everything else is okay at best. The sculpt on it is pretty much the same. It's okay. It's the same exact figure as Batman with a few small differences, although he's got stupid hand positions. I don't know why he's got gripping hands. He has nothing to grip. Should have a fist and a straight extended hand like he does in a lot of the scenes in the comics. The head sculpt also looks really weird. He kind of looks diseased with the cheeks, and he's got that one big cheek, which is, I guess, the mumps. He also has one of the dumbest accessories I've ever seen for an action figure. It's a Green Arrow that I understand where it comes from in the comics, but he can't hold it. There's nothing to do with it but just lay it on the ground next to him. And quite frankly, the articulation just sucks on this figure. So unless you're a die-hard Frank Miller Superman fan, it's really not worth picking up. Alright guys, I hope you enjoyed the review, and as always, subscribe for more.